Leave a space in your mind, in your heart, in your being, for the unknown, for the miraculous. Not all things in existence are governed by mind. The mind seeks to grasp, define, and control, but life's deepest truths unfold in the spaces beyond its reach. The unknown isn't an absence, it's a presence, a doorway to the miraculous, to the mystery that breathes through all things. When we leave space for it, we open ourselves to grace. When we leave space for it, we open ourselves to grace. Mind constantly seeking certainty, agitated self, always moving away from discomfort towards certainty, towards comfort. Endless scanning of the environment. And yet, certainly in my experience, and I know I'm not alone, the unknown, the gap, the space is where something else, something even miraculous, something serendipitous, something, outside the remit of the mind can kind of rise up. Intuition isn't going to happen when we're fixated on the busyness or the seeking of certainty of the mind. Leave a space. Now you may think, why is he leaving a space? Why wait? I remember, with my wife, Amodama, in the online events. And she's a very deep teacher. So she would, actually get kind of quieter and quieter, and the gaps between words or sentences or phrases would actually get longer and longer. And then when at the time for people it had meaning, or it had bearing, because in those silences there was a fragrance, there was something deeper for them, there was some deeper contemplation. But when people watch it on YouTube, people would be like, oh, get on with it. Why is she taking such a long time? What's wrong with her? Why? You know what I mean? It's like the agitated mind, or the mind that's got used to this kind of really fast way of speaking, sort of, feels frustrated and like, it can't entertain, it can't allow, the pause, the cessation, the emptiness, the silence, the unknown. But true spiritual inquiry and true spiritual reflection, contemplation, necessitates being able to enter into the gap. Because the gap is where the wisdom is. The gap is where the truth is. The gap is where the universe is. The gap is intrinsic. So people are looking, to the wave for the explanation of what the relationship is of the wave to the ocean. But that's the wrong place to look. It's like you're looking at the cloud, for an understanding of what the cloud is, or for looking at how the relationship is of the sky to the cloud, but you have to become the sky to see the cloud. And when you become the sky, you actually become silent. There's the gap, there's the awareness, there's the unknown. And so it is the same. It's like if you're just constantly searching in mind for the unknown, for instance, which is, you may have realized that the truth is in the unknown, that you're searching in mind for the unknown, for the answers, you're never going to have an experience of it, because the spiritual path is not about information, it's about actually experience. Not just experiences that you or we have, but actually the deeper contemplation. So it's like, look to the gap, look to the space, look to the unknown. Sit and wait, instead of just being always in reactive relationship to the world, whether the world is your own emotions or feelings or doingness or everything, that you need to get on with. We're very good at getting on with things, but then when we're not getting on with things, what do we experience? There was somebody on a meeting the other day who came with a question about what to do about boredom, as though boredom is something that needs to be either gotten rid of or explained away somehow, because she was stuck at boredom. And so the invitation was to allow boredom, but to use boredom as a doorway to something deeper, because boredom is just covering up some discomfort. And in the discomfort, there's some, question or fear or, irritation or, a problem. Kind of, and it goes deeper than the self. It goes deeper than the one who's experiencing the boredom. And it goes into the existential root of us. But in there is the unknown. In there is, the reason I'm saying this is because, I think we're in a time of reframing many things about who we are, and the deepening is becoming more and more available to us. And in that deepening is a big mystery that we ignore and neglect because we're all trained to live on the surface in our neurotic selves, neurotic mind. And so we can't, possibly entertain, what the miraculous is, what the deepermost is. And yet we've all, in many ways, when we've allowed ourselves, or we've been caught in that moment to experience the unknown or the miraculous or the sheer extraordinary quality of life. It's like you stood on a beach or seen the vastness of the ocean or caught a glimpse of the constellation or the night sky, or we've stared into a forest, or we've just kind of been caught in an ecstatic moment where we don't know, we're just kind of in awe. People don't talk about awe anymore. To be in awe of life, because it's so sucked into the matrix. And yet there's such a beauty in the gap. The beauty is in the gap. Yeah, it's a crack in the door. That's what we're really talking about. Are you obsessed with the door? Or is there some part of you that sees something through the gap in the door? And through the gap in the door is the light. And it's the light that heals us. And it's the light that draws us. And it's the light that we really, really, really seek. We have to go through the gap, allow the gap. That's what I'm saying. The gap in the door is where the beauty is. So consider it, allow it, soften into the gap. I keep talking about softening. I'm never going to stop. So that's the invitation to be mindful of whether you're keeping the door a little bit open and whether there is enough of a gap in your thinking and your attachment to your thinking of how it should be or how it shouldn't be, or even how it is. To stop listening so much sometimes to that descriptive narrative mind and see and look, feel the gap itself. Because that's where the light is and that's where the beauty is.